Vinny is a man, always doing what he can, growing up tough.
I don't know if I know how to be rough, but hey, everybody, how are you? Happy Friday to you all. This goes out to Lisa P., a friend of mine who is a terrific young lady and always tells it the way it is. And we all need friends like that. And Pauline, who I'm talking to because I spoke to Pauline via email, and Pauline needs a kick in the rump today. So we're going to try to kick you softly. We're going to start off, but thank you, Lisa. Great talking to you. And I really do appreciate your friendship and your honesty because you're a true blue person. Pauline, Paul McCartney has a new song out called The Days We Left Behind. And I'm going to let you get a quick listen. I'm going to lose my earning 80 cents today, but I don't care. It's worth it. And I'll review it for you.
Looking back at white and black, reminders of my past. Smoky bars and cheap guitars, but nothing built to last.
I'm not going to spoil it. Go on YouTube and check it out, or Apple Music. It's out. His new album will be out May 29th. Paul McCartney has seemed to have found the voice that he can sing in now, a register that is the whisper high register. He doesn't sound as croaky like a frog. Now, this is the only song that I've heard off the album. He may very well sound very croaky on some of them, which I'm sure he does sing in that register in some of the songs. But look, he's going to be 83. From the sound of this, he's looking back at a past which, you know, he's been on this earth many decades, and he's a Beatle, so he gets a lot of gratis. But it sounds like a very, very interesting tune. Like an 80, soon to be 83-year-old looking back in the rearview mirror, because that's mostly what you have. There's not all that much ahead of you anymore. So God bless Sir Paul, and I'll certainly be there on Apple Music right at 11:59 a.m. So when it hits May 29th at midnight, I'll be there to listen. Pauline, cheering up a friend. I hope that 10 seconds of the song cheered you up. Pauline said she's my friend from Liverpool, that she evidently is going through a bit of a tough time today. And Pauline, I will tell you this much. I heard some things today from a friend that I didn't like. I don't like when people talk about me, especially when they're lying about me. And I can really get very angry, and I don't like to get there. But sometimes you need to put people in their place, and I am deciding what I'm going to do. But I guarantee you it's not going to be pleasant for the people that lied about me. So, Pauline, sometimes, and being a life coach, I've learned that one size does not fit all. Certainly not. There are things that we need to do for ourselves. We need to reinvent ourselves. My dad had a stroke when he was 37. He went from this tough-minded paratrooper, Green Beret type to a guy that was just trying to stay healthy enough to raise his family. He had to reinvent himself. He was no longer the carefree guy. He was now on medication. And I'm sure, and I know for sure it was very hard for him to, as a young man, he was 37, try to reinvent himself when he was not ready. When you're 60, 65, and you can't play softball anymore, or you have a hip replacement, arthritic knee or shoulder. I just had shoulder surgery 2 months ago, this past Monday. But I don't have a choice. Reinventing myself is really just carrying on. Reinvention comes along with that because really you don't have a choice. If you don't drive anymore, right? Reinvention would be getting from point A to point B in a different way, whether it's a cab or a car service, an accessoride, whatever it is. Your life has changed. Where generally speaking, something was very simple to do, all of a sudden, it's become not so simple. It's not as easy as just running out and saying, see you in 20. A little planning now. And what is planning, Rune? Well, we see all these commercials for hymns, and I don't know if they have these Cialis commercials. I seem to remember them. Don't remember seeing them of late. But to ruin the spontaneity, to be prepared for anything. Well, that's pretty much what it is when you are young and you could do whatever you want, right? And then you get older and you have to depend on people more. People are in your orbit, and now they're in your orbit for a different reason, maybe more as a helper, opposed to being just someone you hang out with. And you have friends that will help you. And some will go out of their way a little bit more. Has nothing to do with caring. Everyone has a different threshold. There are friends that may have a bad shoulder. And if you called them at 3 a.m., as much as they'd like to help you to change your tire, they just really can't. They'll try, but they can't. It hurts. But that same friend who can't help you do that can be there for something else. And vice versa, right? Friendships don't come in one size fits all. And if they did, you wouldn't want them. There's always one friend that you could depend a bit more upon for advice. I'll give you an example, and you'll like this example. Let me just turn off my speaker here. I have a friend where he flew in for my 60th birthday and flew home that night. Hey, Pauline, I'm glad you're here. We're going to get into your blind spot today. He's a guy who, if I were to tell him about a marital problem and said, guess what? We're breaking up, whether it be a girlfriend or a wife, he would say, really? Let's go to Vegas next week. You'll forget all about it. You feel better. That would be his answer. I know the guy loves me, but that would be his answer. I have another friend that would say, so you meet someone else. And then you always have a friend who would say, really, what happened? You sure you can't work it out? And that is not a one-size-fits-all friendship. Generally speaking, friendships attach to the parts of you that they feel comfortable with and that you feel comfortable allowing them to hang. Some of us complain. There are people that just complain about everything. And you have friends that will shut you out. Because when does it get too much? When does the collateral damage become so much with certain friends where you say, you know what, love them, man, but it's just too much work? That happens a lot. And it happens for different reasons. Some people don't have the patience. Some people have a lot going on in their own world, in their own orbit. They can't take on anymore, or it'll be very detrimental to them. Some people are just good time Charlies. They're great if you want to go out. But if you're laid up at home, they'll call you before they go out dancing to make sure you're okay, but they're not going to miss their night out of dancing. It's much like, I know there are people in general that can go to a wake and just could not go dancing or singing after the wake, even if the person wasn't all that close to them. It's not comfortable doing it. And you have some people that an hour after being at a wake with tears are dancing up a storm drinking. Does that make them care any less? No. We all have a different makeup. And what we do with it is what really shows who we are. Me personally, I don't have a lot of patience. I can, but when I run out of it, I go a little crazier than the average person. I don't know. Maybe it's from years of having a sick father and my nerves were frayed. I don't know. Not sure. But I try. I do. And you have people that are professional victims. The world hates them. No one understands them. And they'll go about their life waiting for the other shoe to fall. And if it doesn't fall, they'll knock it down on them so they can complain about it. You have those people who hope something goes wrong so they can say, you see? But Pauline, you didn't tell me exactly what was going on, but I gathered that you're not having a good day. And you're in England, so it is 10:25. You're winding up the day. And thank you for being on here this late hour. And you just have to remember the proverbial kick in the pants. Sometimes the shoe could have some mud on it and it stains your pants. That's when the kick works. That you could walk around the whole day and have that reminder that someone kicked you in the pants, in the backside. Or they could have nothing on their foot. And after the little bit of sting ends, you'll never know they did it. You don't remember it. And that's really when people, okay, you have OCD. Okay, and it's playing up. Well, OCD is tough. I don't have it. Well, you know what? I think we all have a little OCD. I may have a little of it. Like, I'll tell you what used to bother me. My albums, not so much CDs, when my albums were all arranged when I was younger, very upright. Well, if they fell down this way, right, and they were slanted because there weren't enough, I'd have to like pick them up and put them straight again. That bothered me. We all have a little OCD in us. And as we wind down at night, OCD gets worse. OCD gets worse when you're tired. It gets worse when you're stressed. But you can play its game. You can definitely play its game. And you could tell OCD, you're not winning today. And I'll tell you why. Because ultimately, OCD is a very little part of your life, but you can make it a very, very prevalent part of your life. It depends if you want to or not. They have exposure and response therapy in life coaching. I remember that was like 2 hours of training, and it was interesting. It works for some. Delaying OCD is a ritualistic malady where you need to count to 8, evens, odds, and all that. Stress reduction. But if it was that easy to reduce your stress, then you wouldn't have the problem. Yeah, well, stress is a very large component of OCD. What you have to do is you reduce reassurance thinking, which is reassurance where if you hit that 8 times, everything's okay. Stressful and tired, oil and water to feeling calm if you suffer from OCD. But obsessive compulsive disorder can be licked. It can be. I'm going to give you one of my tricks, Pauline. Close your eyes. I'm going to do this with you. Okay? I'm going to do this with you. I want you to all do this right now. Close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. Go into an elevator. Press N. It's the last one on the left. And that's nirvana. Now the elevator has just started to move. We feel it going down. It's just beginning to stop now. The elevator is opening up right now, and we see underground the most amazing, picturesque island. And as soon as we walk out of the elevator, I want you to take off your shoes. And you're going to get back on the elevator, so you'll get them when we come back. Now you're walking on sand, and the sand is cool, and it feels amazing. And we're walking maybe 30 or 40 feet. We'll wait a few seconds because we don't all run. And while we're walking, we're just looking around. And to your right, you see some beautiful, beautiful trees, which are on the beach, which is odd. Palm trees. You're looking to the left. There's no one here. It's just you. We're just getting to the dock where there's a boat, a rowboat. It's tied to the dock. The rowboat's about 12 feet long, 4 feet wide, very nice. Well, you're going to take your arms and you're going to extend inward. You're going to take all the little stickies that say OCD. and you have a whole handful. You're not going to drop any. Like, you have enough of them. You don't know how many, but 20 or 30. Walk over to the boat and lay them on the floor. It's not windy. They're not going to go anywhere. Go untie the knot. And we happen to be there now where the waves are pushing out. So all I want you to do is put your feet, you're right where the muddy sand is, the cool water, and the water is kind of cool. Push that boat out. Stand there now. And the boat very slowly is going to wobble back and forth while it's being taken out. And if we sit and watch, stand and watch, we see the boat actually starting to move now. And there is a dip about 100 yards out. So we're going to have to wait a couple of minutes here with our eyes closed. But the boat now is 20, 30 feet away from us. It's picking up momentum. And within 20 seconds from now, we're actually going to lose sight a bit because it's lower out there. And we're watching and we still see it. Now we start to see it go down a bit. Can't see it now. Let's wait a couple of seconds to make sure it doesn't reappear because of the waves. No, I don't see it. Okay. You're going to turn around. There's a hook right on the dock where you release the boat. It's a towel. We'll take that with you. And we're going to walk back to the elevator. Take us another 10 or 15 seconds. Deep breaths. We smell the sea air. There's no one around. It's beautiful. We're relaxed. And we have just unloaded all our OCD tendencies for the day. And our skiff, our rowboat, just took them out to sea where we can't see them anymore. Wipe off your feet with that towel. And put your shoes back on one at a time and throw the towel. Someone will pick it up later. The elevator should be waiting for you. Hit the button. Walk in. And press R for relax. Doors are closing. Take a deep breath. You have about 20 seconds before it gets up. And when it gets up to R, you'll feel the elevator coming to a bit of a stop before it hits the floor. And we are almost there. And it's starting to hesitate. We're there. The doors are opened. Walk out, open your eyes. Hey, Richard. Paul is great. Now, if you did that, you may feel nothing. But I did something called pattern disruption, where for at least 3 minutes, I just had you thinking of something else totally, and it rewired what you were thinking. Richard, Jet is a great song. That's a Beatle-worthy song. The problem with your rocker Paul is your rocker Paul doesn't have the rocker voice anymore, Richard. I'm sure if Paul, and look, Paul knows his voice isn't great anymore. Paul would probably be writing differently if he could. But also at this age, I think Paul's more reflective. I think that, Pauline, you're welcome. I hope it helped even a bit. Uh, Jet is a great song. There's a song, might be from Flaming Pie, Some Days. That's a really good song. That would have been a Beatlesque song. Paul wrote some real good ones. When you're this age, it's a little harder because you're writing. First of all, I'll give you a perfect example. Chris Difford of Squeeze, when he was in his 30s, 40s, would dance while he was playing the guitar. Look a little silly for him now at 71 to do that. He probably still can do it. But when you see a 71-year-old doing that, it's not quite as cool as when it was 1985. Did it, Pauline? I'm really glad. And you do that anytime you need to. All you need is a spot where you can go hide for 3 minutes. Straight from a hypnotist who I knew very well. It works. Sometimes we need, as they would say in Russia, leave attitude at door. Well, sometimes you need to put all your problems in that little rowboat and let it sail off. Not to say that when you wake up in the morning, you won't have a fresh delivery, but you always know now, Pauline, where to get rid of it. I gave you that secret basement nirvana, and you're welcome to use it anytime. So, the song Waterfalls is beautiful by Paul McCartney, Richard. That's a great song. Off McCartney 2, right? And there's some interesting songs that McCartney has had. Jenny Wren is very good. Jenny Wren is the sister song to Blackbird. That type of picking style. Oh, Paul is amazing. Beatle Paul. How could you do better than Beatle Paul? Hold on for 1 second. Oh, just a voicemail. We were talking today about people talking about you. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever had that problem of people that will smile at your face and talk behind your back. Usually people do it out of boredom or jealousy, or they just aren't good people. But sometimes you have to make a stand, take a stand. Say, okay, you had your fun. Now I'm going to have mine. Mick Jagger, yeah. Mick Jagger, because Paul was a great front man. Wings concerts, he was terrific in the front. But the funny thing about Paul McCartney, you never looked at Paul as a front man. Maybe that's because John was with him. But even old Beatle concerts, it was always George was a little behind them, and John and Paul were equal footing across from each other. You never looked at Paul as a front man. You looked at him as a co-front man who it was his turn to sing. Mick is the ultimate front man. And yeah, he's terrific. Still at his age, jogging and doing all that. Incredible. But when does it start looking silly? Pauline, that's what I wanted to talk about, really. When does it start looking silly? When you're not trying to be a rock star, you are a rock star. But now you're in your 80s and you're up there doing this. And then you go home and you're reminded that it's grandpa's birthday and grandpa's 2 years older than the guy that was doing this. Do you, I don't know, do you feel funny? Does it look silly? I don't know. Mick like this, Shadube. I don't know. Certainly looks odd. But we love it. Because guess what happens when Mick acts 30 on the stage? We're 30 again. We're young again. And we love it. Because Mick takes us with him on a journey of your younger years. And who doesn't want to be young even for a little while? Mick and Keith, I agree with you, Pauline. They are a breed of their own because they were always trendsetters. There was no one quite like Mick, how he acted as a lead vocalist. Mick never had a great voice. He had a great delivery. And Keith wrote songs that were perfect for Mick. But it brings us back to a very comfortable place where we can actually go back and say, wow, nice to be 30 again. Until the song ends and you see him towel off and maybe has to do a slow one because he is 80 something years of age. I'm a big Squeeze guy, and Chris Difford used to dance all over the stage. And he probably still could do something like he used to. I'll see if I could find it. At 71, if he did this, you'd probably look at him. But I hope you're all doing well today. Today was good because I decided to make a move with some people that were talking about me. Well, I'm going to end it for them. So it's not going to be very nice for them, but they've had it coming. The funny thing is they think you don't know. Meanwhile, you've had their number forever. Let me see if that's Now, if you're 70 doing that, does it look the same? Or does a part of you say, like, trying to be young? Those 4 words, right? Yes, they serenaded you your whole life. So they are the soundtrack to your life, Pauline. So when Mick does something, he brings you with him. And that's a very nice thing. That's very nice. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I told you I listen to music from the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to sleep. And it does something for me that nothing else does. I like movies. I have all the streaming services I watch. Up the Junction is great because it doesn't have a middle 8. It has no chorus. I never thought it would happen to me and the girl from Clapton above the windy common. That night I'd not forgotten, where she gave out the rations with similar other passions. She said, I am a lady. I said, perhaps you may be. Great song. No middle. That's a perfect song if you don't want to put a middle 8 or a bridge. Oh, there's a bit of a bridge in there, but great song. I'm a Squeeze fanatic, Pauline. I am flying out September 19th, tentatively, to the Hollywood Bowl to see Squeeze Billy Idol. And I forget who was with them. Oh, are you singing with me? That's a great song. He put away a tenner each week to make it better. And when she was ready, they had to sell the telly with little kicks inside her. Great song. Actually, play Up the Junction. I never thought it would happen with me and the girl from Clapton out on the windy common that night. I ain't forgotten when she dealt out the rations with similar other passions. Great song. We moved into a basement with thoughts of our engagement. We stayed in by the telly, although the room was smelly. We spent our time just kissing the railway arms were missing. What a song. Yes, if they don't come to New York. So far, there's a block of time that they're not playing in America. I'm wondering if they just don't have dates to come to New York. You know, maybe they'll fill in Jones Beach. I'm not sure. The Beekman, whatever. But they're playing stadium shows, which would lead me to believe that they're not playing Jones Beach and they're playing the Garden. Billy Idol's terrific. And what's the other band? I forget the other band. But should be really good. And this is a stadium tour. And they're doing the Hollywood Bowl. And I've never been to the Hollywood Bowl. I always wanted to go to the Hollywood Bowl. Let me see. They've been in England, I think. I've seen them so many times.
Chris says Stephen Love.
Glenn?
We are touring from November into December. It's our first sort of major arena headline tour. We've got Billy Bragg along with us, which is really, really great. And also next year, next March, we have an album which we'll be promoting, which is called Trixies, which is a set of songs that Chris.
There's no one. I'm going to handle it. I'm going to call them out on it. And these people probably aren't used to being called out, but they're going to get called out big time. And they better have the right answers. Because I know exactly who's behind it. And the difference is people are afraid to approach these people. I'm not. I could do them a hell of a lot more damage than they could ever do me. I'm not afraid of them. They better be afraid of me. So I'm just deciding when and where. So, people talk about you for many reasons. And most of the time, it's not jealousy. See, I disagree when people say, oh, people talk, they're jealous. It's not about that. They have nothing better to do. And they find an ear that'll listen. If you say, look, I don't want to hear it, it's a little different. But too many people just want to get involved in high school nonsense. And it's ridiculous. And it's always the same people involved. If you have a group of 20 people and you've been hanging out 20 years, the same one or two have been involved in mostly every issue. Those are the shit stirrers. You could find them very easily. Quiet disdain's okay, Pauline, but I don't like when people lie about me. If they weren't lies, maybe the disdain would be fine. But I want to call them out on it. And believe me, people know who the troublemakers are. They just don't want to confront them. I'm a different guy. I have no problem confronting you. So, and sometimes we do things inadvertently. Hold on for 1 second. Be right there. I'm so sorry. That's my friend. You've had the treatment and you've used both tactics. Uh, you know what? You have to do what you have to do. Sometimes people hear something about you that's not correct, and you can't get upset with them if they react to that. But then it's for you to get to the bottom of it, and we can't always get to the bottom of it. That's the problem. But Pauline, breathe. I hope that you feel better. And be just be happy. We don't have a lot of time on this earth, relatively speaking. You never know what could happen. So, Pauline, it is now 11 p.m., 11:02. I hope you have a wonderful sleep. I hope I helped you at all. And thank you, everybody. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate your love. And I will see you soon. Take care.